What's up, YouTube? Georgia Silver Hunter back, and today, at actually pretty large request from commenters down in my previous videos, you guys apparently want to see me hunt another box of pennies. So, you asked for it, you're going to get it. This box came from, where did it come from? It actually came from a Fifth Third inside of a Kroger. And I did open it at the bank because I wanted to make sure we had circulated rolls, which we do. So I'm excited to get into these things and see what we have. All right, well, if you have never hunted pennies before, we're going to go through a few things that you're going to want before you get started. The first thing you're going to want to make sure you have is some sort of scale that can measure coins down to the grams level. This and everything I'm about to show you, I do have links for these items in the description down below, but this is the scale I've been using now for almost 4 years. It goes to the tenths of a gram, which is enough. Because a zinc penny weighs 2.5 grams and a copper penny weighs 3.1 grams, and that will be important during this hunt. So you will need yourself some kind of scale. I would recommend you also get some kind of solo cup or coffee mug or something to put your copper coins in, because you're going to find a whole lot of them, generally speaking, when you hunt a full box of pennies. And you're going to want some kind of search list, like the one I have available in the description down below all of my coin roll hunt videos. This is actually a map that's embedded in that document. It has all the pennies and the errors that I personally look for. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are tons and tons and tons of penny errors out there. Another really good resource is your United States Red Book. This is the 2003 version. And the reason I like this book is that it does go through year by year, and for many of the very common errors, it gives you pictures, it gives you mintages, and it tells you what the red book price is. So maybe the retail book price of most of these coins would be if found in an MS-50, or I'm sorry, an MS-65 condition. The last thing you're going to need, and I have it just off camera, is some kind of magnification device like a digital microscope or some sort of higher powered, maybe 15 to 20 times X loop. So make sure you have all of those things if you're going to start a hunt, because if without your search list, you're just looking at pennies and taking them back to the bank. So I tell you what, let's stop all of our yammering and get into one roll here on camera just to see how much copper we might have in this roll, and maybe get lucky and find some wheat pennies. Oops, look at that. We already had a coin explosion. Wheat pennies, potentially looking for those old Indian head pennies. And then any kind of mint error or variety that could be worth a lot of money. Now, as I said in the opening of the video, our copper pennies are going to be pretty easy to find because they do have a specific color to them as they age. Of course, the ones in BU condition will be tough, and this is where the scale comes in. You can see we're at 3 grams on this copper penny. This is a more modern penny. We've got a 2014, and it weighs 2.5 grams. So if you're unsure if it's copper or zinc, that's how you can tell. This 69D does have some variety possibilities on it. We're just going to put these aside for now, and I will look at those off camera, and if I happen to have one, I'll bring you back in. There's a 79. That's going to be copper. And if you don't know, copper starts in 1982 and earlier. And 82 is a split year, so you may need, if you can't tell by the color, you may need a scale to drop it on to make sure that it is 3 to 3.1 grams so that you hang on to those copper 1982s. Okay, that may be the end of our copper. Nope, there's a 1982, and here's a really good example. It's got that more modern red, like an uncirculated color to it. It is a large date, and that's something you can see in Red Book. If I find a small date, I'll bring in, we'll talk about it so you know the difference. But you can see here, we got 3.1 grams, so we know it's copper, so it's going to go in the pile to my left. All right, so I'm going to go off camera. If I find anything else interesting about these coins, I'll be sure to bring you in, and I'll try to bring you in at every single wheat penny that we find. So we're on roll number 4, and we've come across our first foreign of the hunt. We've got ourselves a 1998 Canadian cent. Now, this is made of copper-plated zinc, so not any metal weight worth keeping here. But I do hang on to all my Canadian coins, so we'll hang on to this one. I've also found one of the 2009. This one's actually a Philly. It's the Professional Life Commemorative Reverse, and it's actually in fairly decent shape. A lot of these I find they're in pretty rotten shape. So I may be hanging on to that one, but I do have a bunch of full rolls of those, so maybe not. We'll see. And I have pulled a couple of 1982s because I did want to take a moment to show you guys, again, the copper versus zinc, as well as very closely what the difference between the large date and small date is. And now is a really good time because I did peek ahead. I've got a 1982D here. So I can tell you from looking at it, this is going to be a large date. It's really beat up, so even if we could find a variety on it, it probably wouldn't be worth keeping. It is 3.1 grams, so we know it's copper, so we'll hang on to it. Now, I have a stunner that's that 82, and I said it was a large date as well. Let's look at that under the scope so you guys can see the difference. Right here, you'll see it's kind of a ugly, almost Fred Flintstone looking number 2. There's not a lot of really good definition. We've got a thick bar here on the bottom and a real thick part of the 2 up here. And it just, I don't know how to describe it, but it just looks lazy, right? Let's pull one of these other ones, and I don't remember which one it is. I think it's this one. This one is actually made of zinc. And if you look here, we have a very well-defined number 2. We have a sharp point down here on the base, and it flares out down here on the end. If you see this, this is considered the small date. And I want to say it was zinc, but maybe it wasn't. Let's weigh it. Nope, it's copper. So we're definitely hanging on to that one as well. But with that information, now you can tell the difference between the large date and the small date. So we're still into that same roll, number 4, and we're just a little bit further ahead, and we found our first wheat penny. Unfortunately, it's fairly beat up. You can see how scratched up it is. We've got ourselves a 1951 Denver, and there's that weedy reverse on it. This thing's so bad that even if there were a variety, it would be graded as damaged and not worth a whole lot of money. But if we look at our cheat sheet, let's see here, 46 to 55, at least the things I look for, I don't see a 51 Denver variety we should care about. So we're going to go ahead and just put this up here as a find. We are up on roll number 12, and we have come across our next find, or our next foreign, I guess I meant to say. Looks like we have ourselves another Canadian, I'm going to guess. Yes, we have ourselves a 1969 Canadian. Now, the difference between this one and the last one is that this one is, in fact, copper. Now, I can't remember if it's 95% or 99%, but any of your older Canadians, if you're in the U.S. and you're a copper hoarder, you definitely want to be hanging on to these. So we're still here on roll number 12 where we had that Canadian. Now, the coin I want to show you, I've already moved over here under the scope. It is the 1960D Denver, and let me reposition that. I just flicked it there. The reason I'm mainly bringing you in is because I have a die chip error on this one. That hunk of metal there in the middle of the 9 is not supposed to be there. It caught my eye because this little piece here looked like it was almost like a broken piece of the 9, but that's not what it is. It's just a die chip. But the 1960 does have a handful of varieties. One is a D over D, like a repunch mint mark, which this one does not appear to have. There's also a large date and a small date version of this, and I believe this is the small date just due to the size of the 0 in the 1960, and I've pulled my red book out to show you. It has some pictures on here, and if you look at the 2, you can tell that the 0 in the large date is quite a bit larger than the 0 in the small date. There is a website that I've covered in a previous penny video, probably a year or 2 ago, that'll show you. You can also use a line to line up like the bottom of the 1, the 6, and the 0, and if it all completely lines up, I think it's a small date, and if they don't line up, it's the large date, something like that. If I remember to do it, I'll put a link to that video either in the description or up here in the corner if I remember to do it. But anyway, we did get a little die chip error here on that 1960 Denver. Bringing you in here on roll number 13, we've come across our next wheat penny, and it's definitely seen some better days. Reverse facing, let's see, what do we have? Looks like just a 1946. We're on roll number 14, and we've come across our next wheat penny. We've got ourselves a 1953 Denver. So we've gotten into roll number 32, and we have our next wheat penny find of the box. We've got ourselves a 1957 Denver. No varieties on this one, and it's not the nicest coin in the world, but I will take it. We've got into roll 36. We're in the last probably 8 or 10 from the roll, and we've come across our next NIFC, and this one actually still has some mint luster on it, or it's been polished. We got ourselves a 1956 D, and this one does have a D over shadow D. Let's check that out under the scope, just see what we have here. And I am not seeing it. Now, under the scope, this does look like maybe it's been polished. But that's just me, because it looks clean here. You can see all the dirt down in the letters, but we have nice, clean, shiny surfaces outside of it. So I would guess polished. So I think I've miscalled the last couple of rolls. I've actually got 2 more racks down there on the bottom. So I'm into roll 29. I think I've called out like 36 and 31 or 32 earlier. So actually on roll number 29. And we've got our next wheat penny, which means we got a lot of rolls left. We could find a lot more Wheaties. We've got ourselves a 1942 Denver, and I am not seeing any kind of variety or error on that, so we'll just put it on the board. That makes 6 Wheaties on this box, which is a lot more than we usually get. So we're almost all the way through roll number 35, actually 2 from the end, and we've come across our next find. We've got ourselves a 1951 Denver wheat penny. So we're getting through roll number 37, and we've come across our, looks like maybe 8th wheat penny of the hunt. Unfortunately, it's another 1951 D, which we found a lot of. This is our 3rd one, and I did look up the mintage. We're like 651 million on that one, so there's a lot of them out there to be found. I haven't brought you in on the copper findings, but I've been kind of keeping track roll by roll. We'll do a full weight of that copper at the end, and do the math on what the current copper price is to see how much our copper pennies are actually worth just in that metal weight. And I've had a whole bunch of stunners that I've pulled aside. Some I know are book fillers, some might be book upgrades, and I've been excited to pull those. We are up here on 4 Canadians. I think I found 2 that I didn't bring you in on. And then I'm also hanging on to any of the 2009 commemoratives. We're up to 2 of the early childhoods. We've got 2 of the formative years, and it looks like 2 of the professional lives. So anyway, with that said, we're going to keep on hunting, and hopefully I'll bring you in soon. We are up here towards the tail end of the box, roll number 42, and we've come across our next find. We've got ourselves a 1945 Denver, and again, according to my cheat sheet, no varieties to look for here, but a really not a bad-looking wheat penny for being a 1945. So we're up here on roll number 46, and we've come across I believe it's our 9th or 10th wheat penny, which is pretty good for my boxes. I typically don't see this many. But reverse facing, it looks like it's been dipped in maybe some vinegar or something. Somebody tried to clean it up. Don't do that to your pennies, please. But that's what this one looks like. And we've got ourselves a 1944. And I think we might already have one of those. Let's see here. That's a 42. So we don't. First 44 on the hunt. So we're up here on roll number 47, and we've come across our next wheat penny. And this box has been pretty good. I'm used to only getting like 4 to 6 wheat pennies a box, and I think we're up here on like number 10 or 11. Came up reverse facing. Let's check it out. We've got ourselves a 1952 S, so San Francisco Mint, I believe. According to my cheat sheet, no varieties to look at here, so we'll just put that on the board as a find. And I don't think I find a lot of 52S's. Could be an upgrade for our book. We'll check that at the end of the video. Well, we have reached the end of our hunt, and we're going to go through all of the stuff that we pulled and also see what we can punch down in our books to give an update of where those are at. So let's just start at the top and work our way down. So we did end up with 4 Canadian pennies in no particular order. We had a 73. That's going to be your 98% copper, I believe, either 95 or 98. We've got our 1969 there. Also copper. We had a 1974, which is going to be copper. And then, of course, we had this copper-plated zinc. So this is much more like 95 or 98% zinc and very, very little copper, just shielding the outside of the coin. I do hang on to all of my Canadians just because they're not supposed to be in our rolls, and a lot of them are copper, so I do want to hang on to them. As for the Wheaties, we actually had a pretty good hunt for once. We had 11 wheat pennies, if I did my math right here, 5, 9, 10, 11. Lately, we've been kind of averaging 4 to 8, so a few more than usual. We did have a 1942 Denver, a 1944, a 45S, and a 46, and one of these is going to fill a book. I've already checked everything up here to see what's a book filler and a book upgrade. I don't remember exactly which one it is, but we'll figure that out when we get to the books. It was either this 44 or this 45 Denver, if I recall. As for the 50s, we had 3 51 Denvers. We had a 52 San Francisco. We had a 53 Denver. We had a 56 Denver and a 57 Denver. None of these are upgrades, unfortunately. Most of my 50s, while they're not great, none of these were any better. We did end up pulling about 10 of the commemorative Lincoln cents from 2009, and this 2009 Denver is actually going to be a book upgrade for me, so we'll pop that down in the book here in just a minute. And then I had that big line of sort of AU, BU copper to check for either upgrades or book fills. And everything on the top row is going to be an upgrade. So 81D, 85, 86 Denver, 90, 2010 Denver, 2015 Denver. We got a little bit of a mark on there, but it's nicer than the one we have in there. And this 2017 Philly. Everything you see down here, again, it's kind of our red copper that would be maybe AU, BU, probably more AU. But it is red, and I keep these separate from my typical just sort of regular copper pennies. So we'll pull the books out and punch these down. The last thing I wanted to point out was we did have cup number 1 full of copper from the first half of the box. We had cup number 2, even more copper from the second end of the box. And just to show you guys, I did pre-weigh these. Oh, and I forgot about this penny. Let's talk about him real quick. This was that 1960 that had that die chip. So that's a little bit of an error penny. I'll flip that up and hang on to it. I'm not sure of value. Simply because it is a pretty minor die chip. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to take a guess. Maybe 50 cents or $1. If you know more about this type of die chip and the value, let me know in the comments down below. But I'm not going to be able to find anything like that on eBay for a comp. But anyway, we'll take the more full copper thing here. We had about 704.7 grams. And I've already written this down so that you guys can see the math here. Copper today is at $3.81 a pound. Between the two cups, we had 527.9 grams in one cup, 704.8 grams in the other, 1232 total. We're going to take the weight of the cups out at 24 grams, so it's 12 grams each, leaving us with 1,208 grams, 1,208.7 grams. Now, keep in mind, that does not include any of the copper here or any of our wheat penny copper or any of our Canadian copper. So there's actually a little bit more value here than I have on here, but 1,208.7 grams in what I've weighed. There is a bit more. And just with that, we're at $9.65 in copper weight, and probably close to $4 to $4.50, give or take, in actual pennies. Right now, there's each copper penny is worth about 2.4, 2.5 cents. So not a bad little haul here in copper weight. So with that, let me do a quick video of punching these down in the book so you can get a sense of where they're at, and we'll go from there. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and fill up these books either with, I think we have one hole filler here, and the rest are all going to be book upgrades. So this 1945 Denver is the only thing that's going to get plugged into book number 2. I tell you, hunting pennies this year have been a little bit tough for me. Not a lot of wheat pennies out there in circulation for me. Like I said earlier in the video, maybe 4 to 8 per hunt, and they're typically in the mid-40s to the late 50s, so I'm really struggling to fill out my Volume 1 book and really filling holes in Volume 2. But everything that's more current, it's now just the hunt for the BU stuff that can replace kind of the older brown coins, which is kind of nice. So anyway, as I wrap up filling these books in, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did enjoy this one, let me know. Drop on down below and click that like button and leave me a comment. That lets me know you guys are enjoying these. It's your opportunity to tell me what you like or what you don't like. And I value that feedback, and I do try to respond to every comment that I do get. So again, really appreciate that. If you're new to coin roll hunting and you like, or if you're new to the channel and you like coin roll hunting videos, I do a whole lot of them. I try to spread the videos out and do as many different denominations as I can. This will go into my Hunt and Fill playlist, and there will be a link at the end of this video to go back and watch this from the very beginning if you like. So make sure you do click on that subscribe button, then click on that little bell and select all so you get notified each and every time I release a new video. I would like to give a special shout out to all my channel members. We actually just picked up a new one here in the last few days, so welcome. Thank you for joining the memberships. And that little bit of money I get each and every month really does help out the channel. Thanks for all the support you guys give. I've just had a great year. The channel's been growing like a weed. I've just really enjoyed making content each and every week for you guys. And I just love the fact that more and more people are finding the channel, tuning in and watching what I put out. So it's been really great. So I feel like I've rambled on long enough. I really just wanted to say thank you to each and every one of you guys that does tune in each and every week. I hope you guys are getting ready for a wonderful Christmas and New Year, or whatever holiday you happen to celebrate this time of year. There will be a little bit of lull in content here for me towards the end of December because I'll be traveling quite a bit to visit family, and I hope you guys are taking the time to do the same. So with that, take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.